Joy Reid on MSNBC absolutely dismantled like this the anti-gun control, anti-common sense gun reform talking points by showing just cold hard facts about which places in the United States have stricter gun laws, and parallel to that, which country in the United States have lower or higher gun-related deaths and gun violence. So take a look at this, just beautifully done by Joy Reid.
In any peer nation.
I mean, and I will look. I brought receipts. The wonderful producers here at the Reid, I got receipts for you to say to back up what you said. 6 out of the 10 states with the least gun violence deaths have the strictest gun laws: California, Hawaii, New York, Massachusetts, Connecticut, and New Jersey. Mississippi has the least strict gun laws in the country and the highest gun violence rate. The top 5 states in gun violence in order: Mississippi, Louisiana, Wyoming, Missouri, and Alabama. The United States has 120.5 guns for every 100 people. The next closest country is Yemen, then Serbia, then Montenegro. You go all the way down. And as you said, this is the country with the most murders by far. There is no country that's not at war that has more gun murders. It's the reason it's much more comfortable going to a bar in New York City, where they're not carrying guns, than it is to go in Atlanta, where they can carry in a bar. It's like, it seems like it's so obvious, but Republicans go, oh, there's nothing we can do about it. But
right. So I wish that specifically Democratic politicians were better about rattling off statistics like that and making abundantly clear whenever these conversations come up that while almost every conversation in politics in certain contexts can be deeply and justifiably complex. That is absolutely true. You can dive into the nitty-gritty of a lot of issues where you need a lot of context and you need to dive into endless specifics to really understand where you fall on the nitty-gritty. But sometimes on the larger question, it's really not that hard. It really is more black and white than you would expect. So on this, as she laid out there with the map she put up on screen, when you look at states that have strict gun laws, those just happen to be the ones with low gun violence per capita. When you look at states that have very loose gun laws and more easy access to guns, just happens to be the states with the highest gun violence rates. Oh my goodness, that's so hard to understand. And so I think this is another one of those issues where the Democratic Party has a really hard time conveying the fact that they're correct. They're correct. They don't need to change that. They want to do more gun control. That's great. But have a really hard time arguing this. And somehow we get defeated by people who just plug their ears and scream Second Amendment. And it's like, you understand that, yes, you have a right given to you by the Second Amendment, just like every other right. That's not just completely endless and up to your own interpretation about what that means. There's some limits on every right. The example that's always given is we have freedom of speech. You don't have the freedom of speech to yell fire in a crowded theater. That's always, the example that people say because it's a very comparable situation where you really do have a right to say a lot in our country, and we should try to make it as expansive as possible, but it will be regulated at some point. Same thing with guns. You have the right to bear arms. You don't have the right to bear any arm on the planet that you can imagine up. Sorry, not how it works. And you also don't have the right to get an arm right when you want it instantly. Sometimes you're going to have to make sure, we're going to societally make sure you can handle that weapon, handle that. Just like how whenever you go to drive a car, you have to take tests and go to classes and get tested by somebody from the state. We just sometimes put little regulations in place that make us all safer. And as the statistics bear out on the issue of gun control and gun violence, common sense gun laws do save lives, and they do prevent some of these horrible atrocities that we see so often. And it really is not that hard to understand, even though there's a longer conversation about which laws are perfect, how do we implement all of them, etc., etc., etc. But the general 30,000 foot discussion that we get completely stopped up on, we never even get past that, which is just, you can't touch it, nothing can happen, and can we do something? And what Joy Reid laid out there just completely knocks down completely the we should do nothing. Somehow having more guns on the street and having easier access to getting guns makes everyone safer. It's just not true. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to be a part of what makes this show possible, plus get access to the full video version of the show hours before any of the clips are uploaded to YouTube, plus get access to an extra full show every Saturday that only members can see, you can do so by going to patreon.com/Luke Beasley. That's patreon.com/Luke Beasley, and there is a link in the description.